All right, let's talk about one of the biggest economic stories on the planet right now. I'm talking about India's labor market. It's massive, it's complex, it's changing at lightning speed, and honestly, it affects hundreds of millions of people every single day.
Just to give you an idea of the scale we're dealing with here, get this. Over 470 million people. That's not a typo. 470 million people make up India's labor force. It is, without a doubt, one of the largest in the world. And what happens here? Well, it doesn't just stay in India. It's going to have ripple effects across the entire global economy.
So, how in the world do you even begin to understand something that big? Well, we've got a plan. First, we'll get the basics down, what a labor market even is. Then, we'll meet the actual people, the players in this massive workforce. After that, we'll look at the system itself, the old rules and the new game. And finally, we'll tackle the biggest challenges the market is up against right now.
Okay, let's jump right in. Section 1. To really get a grip on what's happening in India, we've got to start with a simple but super important question. What even is a labor market?
Think of it like this. It's basically a giant marketplace. But instead of fruits and vegetables, what's being bought and sold is work. You know, people's skills, their time, their brain power. Workers are the suppliers, and employers, they're the customers demanding those skills. It's the absolute engine room of the economy, where jobs get made and careers get started. So yeah, any labor market, anywhere in the world, really just boils down to two things, supply and demand. You've got the demand side, that's the employers who need people to make stuff or provide services. And then you've got the supply side, all the people who are ready and willing to work. And believe me, the health of an entire economy pretty much depends on how well these two sides are balanced.
Okay, so that's the textbook definition. But let's move beyond the theory, right? Let's talk about the people. Who are these individuals that make up this incredible labor force?
So when you break down that huge number, 470 million people, you start to see a really fascinating story about where India's been and where it's going. I mean, look at this. Agriculture is still a massive piece of the pie, employing a huge number of people. But the services sector, we're talking everything from high-tech IT jobs to retail, that's growing like crazy. It's a huge signal that the whole economy is shifting under our feet. And that brings us to our next section, because this market is anything but static. It's actually a story of a huge collision. You've got these long-standing, traditional ways of doing things clashing with brand new, powerful forces of change. It's like the old rules are meeting a completely new game. For literally decades, the rules of the game in India were pretty consistent. First and foremost, you have this massive informal sector, sometimes called the unorganized sector. We're talking millions upon millions of people working without formal contracts, without benefits. Add to that a workforce that's largely rural, with very few social safety nets. That's been the reality for generations. But, and this is a huge but, that old game is being completely flipped on its head. There are these new dynamics that are just shaking everything up. You've got the explosion of the gig economy, right? Then there's the unstoppable force of technology and automation. On top of that, there's a growing demand for highly skilled workers, not just unskilled labor. And crucially, we're seeing more and more women joining the workforce. Every single one of these is a game changer. So you have to ask, what happens when those old, traditional ways crash into these new disruptive forces? Well, you get friction, you get hurdles. And that's what our final section is all about, the biggest challenges this market is facing right now. I want to start with just one word, underemployment. Now, this is different from unemployment. This isn't about not having a job at all. This is about having a job, but it's not enough. Maybe you're not getting enough hours, or maybe you're a trained engineer driving a cab because that's the only work you can find. Your skills aren't being used. It's a huge and often invisible problem.
And that core issue of underemployment is connected to a whole host of other challenges. You've got high unemployment too. Plenty of people who just can't find a job, period. Then there's a huge skill mismatch. What people learn in school doesn't line up with what companies actually need. And of course, this leads to big gaps in pay, what we call wage disparities, and a real lack of job security for most people. The thing is, all of these problems are connected. They all feed off each other.
So all of this leads us to the big, final question, doesn't it? India is at a critical crossroads. It has this massive, young workforce ready to go. So as it goes through this incredible transformation, is its labor market going to become this powerhouse engine for global growth? Or are all these challenges going to create instability? Honestly, the answer to that question might just define a big part of the 21st century.